What is going on? Welcome to Walking Against the Current. We are happy to be here. What's up? Big ups to everybody tonight. Thank you for joining us for Walking Against the Current. We are happy to be back for another week sitting in your living room, workplace, or wherever you are joining. Thank you again for joining. Like, share, and what was the other one?
And comment.
And comment. Yes, we love your comments. We read them all the time. So what you got? I got one question that I got to always ask, and that is, how was your day, my son?
Today was a good day, as always. Every day going to be a good day.
Oh,
right.
I like that.
So every day going to be a good day, regardless of how the day transpired. We're going to always speak and confess that it's a good day.
All right. I like that.
Let me get this thing locked and loaded. We got a great topic for you all tonight.
Yes, I'm excited. Open up your mind.
Exactly. Let me hit my highlights. Y'all please like, share, comment, tag. Let's get the word out there. So tonight's topic is, if we all look the same, would hate still exist?
That's a good question. If we all look the same, would hate still exist?
Yeah, so let me ask y'all something, right? We're gonna kick it off. If everybody in the world woke up tomorrow and we all, right, were the same color, let's just say blue, for example. Although I like red, I like purple, but let's just say blue, since blue is like peace and serenity. You know what I'm saying? So let's just say blue, right? So no race, no visible differences, right? So white, black, it don't matter. No matter your creed, your religion, your occupation, your education, none of that stuff mattered, right? Would we finally love each other right? Or would we just find something else to divide us?
Whoa, that's a pretty deep topic. Would we find something else to divide us? Yeah, I guarantee you somebody would be like saying, like, my blue is brighter than your blue. Or why your blue looking dull? You know what I mean? I think there's a possibility we might still find something different, when the light shines or the sun shines on us, a different hue or something. But let's think about that. Let's take that apart, because we are so divided in this world by shades, right? We're so divided by shades within different communities, different people all over the world with different shades. But that would take away that division, because we all would have the same color. So that would almost force us to almost like not judge each other now. We don't have anything to judge it by. Like, I'm not lighter, you're not darker, you know what I mean? So the judgment, I think, would be done away with, I think.
It's so funny, like even as we're talking about this topic, I thought about when we was back in New York. So I went to a school called St. Peter's.
Uh-huh.
I went to a Catholic school for like 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Catholic school, we all wore the same uniform. Like, everybody wore the same uniform from pre-K all the way up to like 12th grade.
Right.
But even in that moment, people still found a way to divide each other.
Really? Like what?
Like, they would say, "Oh, your shoes is not shiny," or
wow.
there's no crease in your pants. Like, 'cause we had to wear a uniform, it had to be creased up, shoes had to be shiny, the whole nine.
Right.
But I remember even thinking about that, people were still finding a way to divide, to divide and conquer, to crack jokes. Like, "Oh, you know what I'm saying, your shoes is not shiny, you got dust in your shoes," or, "Your tie is crooked," or I'm like, God, dog.
Yeah, because as a parent, when you got kids that's wearing uniforms, you're like, whew, you don't have to worry about these name brands. You don't have to worry about, I got to buy the latest, Nikes. Everyone's pretty much wearing the same shoes. And even with all of that, that's a parent's dream, that they don't have to go school shopping but for uniforms. But even with all of that, you're saying in your memory bank, you remember there was still some type of division.
Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy when we think about how we are as humans, how we're constantly dividing each other? So let me ask you a question. So I guess, are we truly kind, or are we just being convenient with each other? Can we be kind to each other? Can we?
I think it's a choice.
Is it something that's taught at home? I wonder about that, because I have 4 children, and all of my kids are so different, and I taught them all the same. Now, I will say that I might have got a little tired towards the end, but I think I really was on it with trying to teach those core values. But even with that being said, do you just believe that certain people are just born with their kind of personality?
Yeah, I'm just reading some of your comments on here. Thank y'all for sharing and tagging.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It would either be like heaven or the bias would be different. People would divide by economic status, education, profession, and communication. Absolutely. Somebody put yes. That's Angie. She put yes. That's Lynetta. Yeah. So I think it's taught. So like you said, even though you raised us all within the same thought process of doing things, we all grew up differently. So yeah. So people have what you call your individuality.
Right. I think like you're innately who you are.
You're innately who you are. And of course you have stuff that comes from like your genes and just different things that's pulled up out of you. And your influences of who you hanging around.
Right.
That also plays a key factor of I think how you shape, outside of just your home, who you hanging around. They say if you hang around 5 fit people, you'll be the 6th one. You hang around 5 obese people, you'll be the 5th one, 6th one.
Gosh.
If you hang around 5 successful people, you'll be the 6th one. You know what I'm saying? So like you are a product of your environment, negatively and positively, if you allow yourself to be.
So getting back to that question, so we can confidently say that even if we was kindness wouldn't necessarily disappear if we all look the same.
I don't think it would disappear. I think it's again, it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about religion. You got people that's in the same religion base that still have conflict.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, we talked about that one on the last podcast. How many different divisions we have in Christianity? I should say denominations we have within Christianity is just so many. So I can understand that. So if every nation looked the same, would the borders still matter? You think? Would it still matter? I mean, right now we're in a situation in our country, and I guess when you brought this topic up, I'm thinking to myself, what is it that we need to do as a nation of people that could put us all together? I really do think it's just one simple word. I think that the only thing that would forever bring nations together would be love. Yep. If everyone truly just loved,
right,
I don't think that we would have the problems, because if you love each other and like there's no conditions, like we turn something off inside of us and you only can execute love. Like there's no anger. You only can execute love. That means you would share, you would give, you would be concerned about other people, not based on what they look like, not based on what size they are, what demographics they live in, because you would just be hardwired to love them. So that would probably only be the only thing that could probably change the world. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, because the difference isn't the problem. Like you said, division is. And like we talked about, even if it was the same color, and people like Lynetta shared inside the comments, talking about if we all was the same color, like say blue, the difference would be status. The difference would be our beliefs. The difference would be our appearance, our body types. The difference would be our backgrounds, where you from. And even talk about what you're talking about love. I think if the heart doesn't change, then the world don't either.
That's true, because even though you're divided by countries, people still have their own thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. So, even if you all look the same, you don't necessarily all think the same, right? So you might look the same in terms of your color. We all walking around here blue looking like Smurfs.
Right.
But even with the Smurfs, they had, the smart one, the silly one, so
right.
I guess if your personality, and boy, that was I don't know. It's a story about the Smurfs that I don't want to get into tonight, but there's a conspiracy about the Smurfs. So, but I was a Smurf fan. But either way, in that particular cartoon, there was the happy Smurf, there was the giggly Smurf, there was the sad Smurf. So bottom line, they all had the same color, but they all have their own mind and thoughts. So I guess that would be, I guess we would still have some issues and judgment still going on. You laugh too much. You're too, you're too angry. You're too serious. You all look the same, but then there'll be something different still that would make us separate, I guess.
Right. And even going back to the heart, like love, when you think about the word heart, right? You have the word hear in the word heart. So it goes back to what you hear. HEART is the heart, right? Which sits where? In the middle of your body.
Right.
It's the core of your body. It's what pumps through your entire body to gives you the oxygen and gives you the blood. Everything starts with the heart, right?
Right.
Which pumps to the mind. And I could get real philosophical with this, but I'm not.
Watch out.
But when you think about like the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, even when it comes down to your eyes, when you spell the word eyes, it's EYES, right? Take away, rearrange the words, you have the word yes. So what your eyes see is yes, I want that, right? Think about that. When you spell eyes, EYES, you have yes in the word eyes. So what your eyes see is what you desire. You can't desire what you never had, right? So if you don't understand the true purpose of love and how to love somebody, how can you ever desire that? And think about even when it comes down to the word heart, right? Hear, what you hear inside goes into your heart. That's where rejection comes from. That's where people who don't know how to love comes from. Maybe you heard somebody telling you you're not good enough. Maybe you heard somebody telling you you won't be successful. You won't do X, Y, and Z. So it is so profound when you think about the heart. When you like you said, when talking about love, because I think love conquers all. Like we shared many podcasts ago. Love is universal. It don't matter what language you speak. You know what I'm saying? I could be sitting right next to you speaking English, you speaking Chinese, but I can exude love. You can feel love.
You surely can. I watched a video on TikTok where this man from another country was, wailing about something. And me just watching him wail the way he was, wailing, I started to cry. I felt his pain through the video. You know what I mean? I felt it. And honestly, he was speaking another language. I didn't even understand what he was saying, but I felt his pain just through the cries coming from his heart. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that that's a great point. It's really a great point. So I think the only thing we could really focus on as a nation, as a person, as a human is finding ways that we could love, because I guess we figured out that just being blue or looking the same wouldn't necessarily change people's hearts and their minds. They would still find something that they would complain about or compare, I guess what I want to say. They would find something that they can compare that's different or, better or worse. So I guess it would be where you live at now. Okay, you blue like me, but now I live in a bigger house than you or whatever have you. Because we as humans, we can be so cruel to one another. We could be so cruel to each other. And I do think that we as parents have I think our first rule really needs to be really teaching the importance of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you're kind, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I know it's very hard for me to want to hurt someone's feelings. It really is. They can look like somebody. I've seen somebody the other day said, "Oh, let me show you a picture of this person that looks like you," and the person didn't look like me. I was like, "What? You crazy?" But at the end of the day, I didn't want to hurt their feelings to be like, "Are you kidding me? This person looks good or worse, whatever have you." So I think there's just something to say about being kind. You know what I mean? But I think it's really interesting to think that no matter what we do or how we look, we still got to deal with the heart.
Yeah, even getting back to being kind. That's key. I had a brother that was going through something recently, and he shared it in our men's group, and he shared some personal stuff to me, and he was embarrassed behind it, and I was like, hey man, no need to be embarrassed. Like, we all make mistakes, we all fall short of the glory. Where would we be without God's grace and mercy? Because we all make mistakes, right? Everybody makes mistakes, and I had checked on him. Well, first of all, I sent him a prayer the night after we met. I sent him a prayer that night, and I was like, "Hey, man, it's on my heart to send you this prayer. Read this prayer, bro. I hope it makes you feel better. And I was like, man, we got work to do. Whatever's going on, get behind you." And then the next day, I just checked on him. I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" He was like, "Oh, today's the men's group, right?" I said, "I'm not talking about the men's group. Whether you come or not, I'm just checking on you."
That's good.
And then when he came to the group, he shared that message and just me being present at the time of his need and not caring about nothing else but his mental health, not caring about nothing else but how are you doing? He
Right.
was like, man, I shared that message with 7 people.
Wow.
He said, because you don't understand what that did for me. And to me, I'm just checking on him. That wasn't, not saying I'm not, Lord have mercy, am I saying it right? Like, not saying I don't care, but I cared about him at that moment. Like, hey, bro, how you doing? Just checking on you. Like how we always do. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
But to him, it was like, man, I guess nobody's checking on me in this time of need. And just that text alone, just that act of kindness, that act of love, just made him feel so much better.
I love that. And that's really a nugget that you threw out. He grabbed it and then he shared it with other people. And that's kind of like, the chain effect of kindness. You know what I mean? Like in I don't know if I can talk about your book.
Yeah, good.
Okay, there's a certain section in your book where it's called Wings.
And it's coming out. It's we're in the final stages of the publishing.
Okay. Well, there's a certain section in your book where it talks about being someone's wings. How can we develop into people where we are extending ourselves? And if somebody's wings are flapped down because they're discouraged or they're hurt, how could we come in and be their wings? And I remember when I was reading that section, it was so powerful because with the world of bullying nowadays and so much going on with the children in the schools, I mean, these things have to be so taught about how we could be there for one another and be a leader. And that's what that section of your book, I speak that into existence, that's going to go so far because we need,
hallelujah.
We need, we need leaders and we need students to be taught how to lead and to be there for someone else. Like you said, you just called him and said, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm not thinking about nothing else but you. How many people need to hear that?
Right.
Because,
you got to think, like, people always think that you calling about something. Like, if you owe somebody money and I call them, like, oh, you calling about this money? Or, like, the men's group is Wednesday. Oh, you calling about the men's group? Nah, I'm calling this to check on you.
Right.
I'm like, forget the men's group, whether you come or not. I'm just asking how you doing. You know what I'm saying? I think that we don't need to look the same to love the same, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we just need to really focus on loving people.
Yes.
Really focus on just being present with people. Be the person that you want someone to be to you.
Exactly. That's a very infamous line from, I think, Gandhi, right? And it's so important. I remember my pastor, he would teach about so many different topics. But he said, if you conquer this one thing, then you really encompass so much of the scriptures in the Bible. And that is just love. I mean, that really needs to be just a slogan that we pass on. Just love, just love, just love, just love. Nike said, just do it, right? Yeah. Put that in the comment, y'all. Just love. Don't judge, just love, and I think that's this world would have, if we all did that, it would be a chain effect. Because when you think about war, war doesn't start with just weapons. Right? It doesn't it doesn't start with just weapons. It starts with separation of the mind.
Yep.
So, I mean, the weapons is what does the damage, but what began the war is something in our mind that we separated on in our thought process, and then we started to have the war. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think there's something that I'm passionate about. I think that as I get older and wiser, I realize that so many of the things that we worry and put our concerns on really doesn't matter. I think our life goal, seriously, our life goal should be to just find different ways to show love, find different ways to help and honor, and less time worrying about what a person looks like, what color they are, what size they are, what's their financial profile. I mean, none of that really matters. Just being kind, just loving, even if we all look totally different or even if we all look totally the same. The bottom line is just love.
Man, great comment on here. James Jones, he said, you and your mom is a prime example of showing people what love is supposed to be and how y'all expressing love and not just expressing it, but living it as well. Great job, guys. Man, appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesus, because it's nothing but God's grace and mercy. Because Lord knows, man, I try. But I have this is very profound. I want to bring up in here, right? Talking about integrity in the world with nothing to hide. Integrity in the world with nothing to hide. What does that mean? If everyone looked the same, as we mentioned before, right? Would people stop pretending?
Oh, wow.
Right? Would character matter more than appearance?
Yes, it would.
And watch this. This shifts the focus from how do I look to who am I really?
Who's your real integrity, right?
Right. Who am I really? Right. When you can't hide behind differences, your character becomes your identity.
Right. So if you can't hide behind your wallet or your big house or your big car, then who are you?
Right. Who
with
are
all
you?
the stuff, without the stuff, right? So then you have to work harder on who you are becoming as an individual, not the stuff, but you have to develop your character and you got to develop your integrity, because now people are not looking at your house. They're not looking at your car. They just see you as an individual. So now who are you now when you don't have all the stuff? You know what I mean? You have to really develop your character. That's really a good point. Wow.
Yeah. Who are you? You know, who am I?
Right. Who are you?
You know what I'm saying? Who am I? And that's why I'm so grateful that I talk about it now, going through that, financial situation I went through, because I was telling somebody today, I was talking to a judge today, and we really had like a real powwow in their office, and this is a judge here in Columbia, South Carolina. And I was telling him, I was like, I'm so grateful I went through that season of my life. Well, I'm still going through it,
What you say? You about to give you a cash app number?
Yeah, sow a seed. Y'all can sow into this.
Listen, walking against the current dollar sign.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
But I was telling the judge today, I was like, I'm so grateful I went through that season of my life, because I learned so many things about character in that during that time. I really felt like had I would have kept going and reached the millionaire status during that time, it would have destroyed me.
Oh, I think it would have too.
Because I wasn't ready, right? Because in order to be the individual that I'm striving to be, right, a lot of times we have to be those things already, right? A lot of times we say, well, I want to be a supervisor. Well, start doing and being and be that person now.
Right.
Show up to work on time. Be willing to train people. Be willing to coach people, right? Be that person now. Don't wait till you get the title to become that individual.
Oh, you said that right there. Hold up. I'm sorry.
So
don't
what I'm saying,
wait till you get the title.
Don't wait till you get the title. So what I'm saying is, I think that had I reached that level of success that I was going to hit, right? It was innately. I think it would have completely destroyed me.
Okay.
Because my character was not where it needed to be. I'm just being transparent.
Right.
Because the things I said I wanted to do, I was not doing it. Right. I said I wanted to help the homeless, but I was buying things that wanted to satisfy me because I was in a place that I'd never been before. Right. I had access to things that I never had. So I was just flowing and going and acting crazy, right? But the thing about it is I had to learn to give myself some grace, because many times we travel to places that we've never been before, and then we kick ourselves when we down because we do things. And though I knew better for certain things I've done, I should have invested wisely and paid stuff off, whatever the case may be, right? But play the sounds. But like I said, I'm grateful because you have to be that individual that you're trying to get to.
And it doesn't happen the way it happened.
Yeah,
it
and it builds character.
Right.
Like, who are you? True question. Who are you when you have all the access, when you have all the money, when there's nobody that's going to tell you no?
Right.
What do you do at that time?
Right.
Right? When you have all the access, you have all the power, like, what do you do, or who do you be, or who are you when nobody tells you no?
Wow. That's interesting. I always sit in the sidelines and I watch my kids, when they're doing certain things. And I always ask them this one question. I guarantee you, I don't even have to say it. I'll just see if he knows it. When you was in your prime, I'll just say.
They took him out. Prime when? Young prime? Like teenager or early 20s? Or you talking about during this financial prime?
When you was rolling in a dough. Because, you as a mother, you have to let your kids be adults, right? You can't always where you don't have no
I don't
power.
know, I don't know what she about to say.
You don't have no power to to chop them down. You want to chop them down sometimes when you see them, kind of getting ready to make a train wreck, in certain aspects. I remember when he would do certain things, I would ask you one question all the time. I can't believe you don't know what that was.
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
What I'm about to say.
You would say something like, who are you doing it for?
Right.
Right? Are you doing it to be? Are you doing it to be seen?
You know it. That's right.
Are you doing it to be seen? You know what I'm saying? And that's really many of us on social media.
Absolutely.
Like, why do we take a picture of our food?
I want to know. I really want to know. Well, when I do it on Thanksgiving, I do want to be seen. Like, look at all this hard work, man.
Right,
but I know what you're saying.
Right.
I want to be seen, so that's the bottom line, right? I want the world to see me that I can cook a good turkey. But the bottom line is, I know what you mean, because there are some people that every time they eat something or go somewhere, they are putting a picture up there. You know what I mean? So I used to ask my son, I was like, okay, he'd be so fired up, and as he gets fired up about, his passions and his dreams, and he would do certain things, I'd be like, why? I would ask the question, why are you doing that? I want you to check yourself always to make sure you're doing it in the right intentions, and that you're not doing it to be seen of men, because as the scriptures say, then that's your reward. And ultimately we should be striving for the reward from the Almighty, not of men. So I think that's one of the things I always ask my kids, like, why are you doing this? You know what I mean? And they check me too. They check me too. I mean, since I started this business, they have been checking me. But but yeah, that's another story. But yeah, I think that's a good question. Who are we without our stuff?
Yeah. Who are we without our stuff? And who are we when there's nobody that could tell you no, because you have everything that you want?
Right.
Well, think about that. If you got $10 million, there's not a whole lot of things you can't do. Right? I mean, people really can't tell you no. You know what I'm saying? Like what can't you do with $10 million? Like, if you had $10 million today, like, what would change about you? Like, what would you do with that money? Like, would you really bless people? Would you really help people like you said you would?
Right.
Because people say, oh, Pastor, when I get $1 million,
I was going to say that.
When I get $1 million, I'm going to give you 10%, right? Well, 10% of $1 million is what, $100,000?
Right. Or more. I mean,
yeah. Don't check my math, y'all, but I think it's $100,000. So just think about that. So if
$1 million. Okay.
Yeah, of $1 million. So would you give your church or your pastor $100,000? You'd be like, I could do X, Y, and Z with this money.
Right.
But when you don't have it, it's so easy to say what you're going to do with it.
What about this part? Okay,
hold on. Even forget that. Let's just go to tax money.
Right.
Let's go to tax money.
That's good.
We'll say when I get my tax money, or when I get my refund check, I'm gonna pay this car off, or I'm gonna pay these bills off. You get that money.
Oh my God,
man, you don't do that. Why? Because you have so many other things that show up. Or you're like, I didn't work all year. I want to go. I'm going to Myrtle Beach.
Right. Or Jamaica or something.
I'm going to Jamaica. But that's the things that we do. So, like, can we really trust ourselves?
Right. Because the key, like you said earlier, which was a great point, was if you got $5 today to tithe, if you earned $5 and you had to give 10% of that, some people don't even give that.
Right.
Because that really shows your heart. If you're a giver, no matter what your status is. And that's kind of sort of what our pastor taught us. Like, he knows, and God knows if we're being greedy or selfish in that sense. Because no matter what, if you make $100 a week, are you tithing on your $100 a week? And most people say, I can't afford to tithe on this $100 a week, man. I got to go pay a bill.
Right.
So you wouldn't, like you said, when you got the 100,000 or $1 million, you still wouldn't tithe.
Right.
Because, it's what you do today that determines what you get to do later. You know what I mean? And I always say that.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's too. So I had so many notes here. Let me just go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, right, listen up, do you think people would treat each other better if we all looked the same?
I think it would lessen some of the critics and criticisms that people face in schools and the ridicules that people go through. If everyone kind of looked the same, you wouldn't necessarily have to go through your dark skin, I'm light skin. Those are real hot topics. People are really hurting behind the color. What's the shades, I guess, of colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because y'all hurt my feelings growing up, some of y'all. Calling me a little black boy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, some people are hurting because of that, right? So at the end of the day, that would be wiped away. So that would be for the better. You know what I mean? Because nobody can say, you know, you are black or you too light or you too pale. You know what I mean? I mean, African Americans are not the only ones that go through that. I mean, you got other nations that go through colorism as well. You know what I mean? I mean, some people say you're too pale. You look like you were a ghost or whatever have you. So I think that would exterminate, get rid of that problem. But again, I do think that it was still they would still create something different.
I like that. I like that. Let's go a little deeper.
Ooh, okay, let's go deep tonight.
Let's see. I got a good question for y'all.
All right.
If y'all ready, type ready in the comments.
I love it. We want y'all engaged, y'all. Get
we got
in.
some stuff in here. Okay.
All right.
My boy DJ said, learning a business before being the owner, just like Chick-fil-A, will let you own part of the franchise unless you work for them and learn how they operate. That's true.
Wow, great.
Let's see. No, the spirit of jealousy. That's true. That's true. If we could go back into the 70s, it wouldn't be an issue. Nowadays, no.
Okay.
Okay. I know some of y'all commented some of the things that we said
Earlier.
Earlier about that topic, or about that question. But I want to go a little deeper. What's something that you've judged someone for that had nothing to do with race?
So what's something that I judged someone for that had nothing to do with race? Actually, I'm going to think about that because that's a really good question.
Because think about that. What's something that you've judged someone for that had nothing to do with their race? Because it's sad to say that we are in 2026 and we're still dealing with race stuff. You know, they just shared that we have a hate crime or a hate law or whatever about race here in Columbia, South Carolina, and we just charged somebody with it recently, and they getting some years behind that.
What is how do you get guilty of it? Like, what is
just like I don't know the full statute, but I think he called somebody like a negative derogatory name about his race.
Oh wow.
An incident happened where a white male had a black guy running in Richland County. It was over the news, and I think he pulled a gun on him. He called him some derogatory racial slurs, and he got locked up for that. It's like a hate crime law that we have now here in South Carolina, and it was a white male and with a black guy. So but we have so many different things that we judge people on. And we're such a stickler when it comes to race. So I'm just asking, what's some other things that we've judged people on outside of their race?
I won't say I done it, but I've seen people judge people on the way they dress. If they feel like I've seen kids do it. I've worked in schools a large part of my career, and I've seen children judge people if they don't have a pair of Jordans on, if they have a pair of sneakers, maybe no name sneakers. If I say just a pair of sneakers. And so as a result of that, people teased them and called them bobos. People called them all kind of names for their sneakers. So they was judging them. But here's the funny part about that. Some of those kids that wore those, quote, no names lived in some of the biggest houses, had some of the parents that made way more money than other people. And here's this poor kid being judged and ridiculed. And he financially, he was sitting better than most of the people that were sitting there judging him.
Yep.
Because unfortunately, some people's whole identity is on what they wear. And it makes them feel like they are together, or it makes them feel like they're better because I got a pair of 200. I mean, what's the sneakers costing now?
Too much money.
Okay, too much.
I remember sneakers like $80 back in the days, $100. Now it's like $260, $300.
Yeah.
For a regular pair of a sneaker.
So that's crazy.
People put character, their actions. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, judge a person on their character.
Back in the biblical days, this jealousy was there before, never going to end. It was just like a phase when Peter told Jesus, this is a long one. That's right. Peter told Jesus to go to Cornelius' house and talk with him. Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That's real good.
I like that. But to your point, you know what I'm saying? And to your point, a lot of us, we have to ask ourselves, who are we without Louis Vuitton? Who are we without the chain, the watch, different things that we wear? Like, can we truly love ourselves with just our naked selves?
Right.
Like it's about having a value that's inward, that's in you,
right,
not what's on you.
Ooh,
And
I
too
like
many
that.
times we value
Right.
ourselves of what's on us. What are we driving? What kind of house we got? You know, oh, you see my new diamond ring my man got me, or you see my new tennis necklace that my girl got me, or that I bought myself. Too many times we allow those things to identify us. And there's been times where I've been to meetings that I've like I said, when I was rolling, there's been times where I went to the Burberry store and I bought Burberry shirts just because I was going to a particular event where most people dress like that.
So you wanted to be a part of the team, isn't it?
I wanted to
Wow.
fit in.
Right.
Like I felt like if I didn't have this on, then perhaps I would be looked upon as someone who's not winning.
Judged.
Right. So I'm like, I really spent $400 on a shirt that I wore maybe 2 times to an event because I wanted to feel value.
You know what? That's
to be in a
powerful.
room.
That's powerful that you are transparent. You guys should need to be clapping your hands and typing, because a lot of people won't even have the humility to be able to admit that. You know what I mean? Because we are so proud in how we want others to see us. So I applaud you that you are transparent enough to be able to say this to the world, that there was the space and place in your life when you did that, because we all did it. Maybe not the $400 shirt, but maybe we bought the wig, or, you know what I mean? Listen, let's be real. You know what I mean?
Right.
We bought a certain wig to wear to a certain event, or we got our nails done. Hell, nails are ridiculous now.
I know.
To get your nails done, you're going to spend a good grip. And sometimes we do that for an event. We really can't afford it, but it's like, well, I got to fit in, like you said. So, kudos to you to be able to admit that. But that is a great point, that we are so concerned about how others are seeing us that we will go through certain measures to fit in.
Yeah, I'll give you another one. So we went to a business event in Las Vegas, and it was a jeweler. You know, what's the guy's name? Oh Lord, I can think of his name, but he's a fantastic jeweler in Las Vegas. And man, what's his name? But anyway, a lot of my mentors, people I was following, was going to this jeweler, and I was like, bro, when I come to Vegas, I'm gonna come see you too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, I mean, men, we love clothes, we love fashion, I love cars, whatever. But at the time, a lot of the people who was really making money was wearing these Cartier watches.
Wow. Okay.
And these Cartier watches was like $25,000, and it was $25,000.
Wow.
And at the time, people who was really doing it was wearing those watches. And at the time, I was making great money. So I was like, you know what? I want one, because it's almost like an unspoken thing. If I walk up to you and I see a certain watch on your wrist, there's certain watches called like a Rashad Mill, Richard Milley. Those watches cost $250,000.
Wow.
Like a house on your wrist, literally. So if you see somebody with that kind of watch, I don't have to ask you what you do. Right. I mean, not saying that's what you do. I know you're making money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, you know what? If I had one of these watches, you know what I'm saying? It's an investment piece, but it's also a talking piece.
Right.
It's just like, bro, what you do? And now you could use that to recruit people, build people, whatever. I went to Vegas and I spent and bought that watch.
Wow. Woo. I hope you still got it.
Yeah, I still got it.
Okay.
because and I'm just being real with y'all, because at that point in my life, I felt like I had to buy things, wear things, drive things in order to be valued. I value myself, of course, but it's a form of insecurity, because I felt like I had to wear these things and have these things in order to be valued, to give the value that I bring to people.
Oh, I love that. Can we go back up a little bit? I wanted to read this certain comment that I liked. Okay. It said, well, I've judged people in the past about their age and where they were in life, but God dealt with me, humbled me. Now I feel whatever you perceive as success is your success.
Right.
Absolutely. I always say success is something like, but I want to get back to what you were saying. That is a powerful statement, that you went to that link to do that. You know what I mean? That's powerful to fit it. And I love what you said. It is a form of insecurity, because when we feel like we have to constantly measure up to somebody else's standards, we are not sure or comfortable in our own self. And I don't know what to call it, but I've never been that way. I'm real, you've never seen me like that. Like, I've always been extremely humble, and I don't necessarily care what I drive. I've never been that type of person that necessarily felt like I had to have a certain car, had to, I love nice things in my home, but I never felt like I had to drive a $80,000 car to feel like I was successful. I always felt like I measured success by how I served people. I measured my success on how I raised my children. I measured my success on how I treated people. And that's kind of sort of how I measured my success. And that meant something to me. So I know that everyone is not the same, but that's what we all should be inspiring for, because no one can say really what success is. I mean, the world has a definition of what success is, but if you're healthy, you're happy, you're raising your family's happy, that's success. One of my favorite shows is Little House on the Prairie. Why? Because granted, it's a television show, but I really view that family, the Ingalls, as being a successful family because they had each other. They stuck together no matter what they went through. And when Dad didn't have it, he went out and worked and got it. Mom pulled in and did what she had to do. But ultimately, the family stuck together, and that is what I consider success.
Right. That's good. That's good. And many people won't be real like that, like we be real on these podcast shows. And
It's real, transparent.
Because a lot of people really do be feeling the same type of way, but y'all don't really want to admit it for real, because it's like, because like we said, why do you do it? Because you want to be seen.
Right.
Like, why do we do? I mean, and that's okay too. If you want to be seen, you want to be seen.
At least know that. At least
be real and know that's what it is.
Right.
Like, there's no way we all wearing Louis Vuitton from head to toe just because. And hear me, if you like it, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying sometimes we wear it because we want to be seen. It feels good because that people know that that's expensive and that you got it on. That means it deems you as being somebody that's successful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, just say that, because that's what it is with me. Like, when this thing flip and I'm back up, I'm getting my Rolls Royce. I'm getting, I just love those type of things. Why? Because I like it.
Right, because you like it. And at least you be one with yourself. My sister Charlene always say, be one with yourself. And because you like that, don't judge somebody if they're just driving a regular,
right.
What do you call it? I'm trying to think of
any car, a
Toyota Honda.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't judge nobody. And there's some people that go to those events that you was talking about, and they're embarrassed to roll up in their Toyota. And it's like, why? If that's what you chose, and that's what you want to drive, why are you embarrassed by it?
Yeah. And I had a friend tell me that recently. He was saying something like, he feels better when he has certain things on, and that's okay. He's like, yo, if I'm not dropping something that's exclusive, I'm gonna park far away and walk to the venue. I'm gonna get there early and walk to the venue. But if I'm driving, a Jag or a Benz or a Escalade, I'm gonna park in the front. And we had a conversation, and I'm grateful that I have friends that we could talk real talk like that. And I was like, bro, I've learned that, the value is you. You bring the value.
Exactly.
The car ain't the value. Like, you the one dropping the car. You the man. You know what I'm saying? We the man, or you the woman. You the sis. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had to learn to understand that we bring that. It don't matter what you driving, what you got on your body.
Right.
Like, I don't wear. Like, I got on regular clothes. I mean, I like my jewelry, but I got on regular clothes. But I realized, like, I'm still powerful. I still have a voice. I still bring value and add value no matter what I got on my body.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? No matter what I'm driving. And I was like, bro, it don't matter what you're driving. Like, keep that same energy, whether you're driving a Prius or you're driving a Mercedes Benz. Just know that when you pull up, you're going to bring that value. You're going to drop that mic. And you know what I'm saying? You want to bring that heat when you talk and when you teach, because too many times we allow the perception of too many people to dictate how we should be and how we should live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the key. It's like, don't judge. I think that's probably the bottom line. Love and don't judge, because I think that's where the problem comes in. And then also, do the work to deal with your insecurities, you know what I mean? And how you deal with it is kind of what you just said, having those real talks with your friends and your family and say, hey, I'm feeling some kind of way. So, when you come out and you say what you said tonight, and I say what I said tonight, I think it gives people room to be able to say, yeah, I feel that way too. So we are walking against the current. That's what this whole podcast is about, is to be different and bold enough and confident enough to be transparent enough to say your faults out loud and don't care if somebody's judging you, because your goal is to help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. That's the goal, is to help somebody else. So
I was trying to find a little beep thing, the little beep button.
oh, you know, we got to label it.
I don't give a beep, but nobody thinks.
Right. Because we want to be able to be different. We want to change the world one person at a time. Because if you don't, if we don't, then who will?
Right.
I mean, who will? You have to live your life by an example. So I love what you said just now when you said, when you walk through the door, when we go to work, and that means you, and you, when you go to work, you bring the value. You know what I mean? Not what you're wearing, not your jewelry, not your car. You walk through the door because you matter. You matter and you are valuable. And I think when we walk away with that mindset, we are valuable beyond the stuff. It's just who we are. And you are valuable if you are having a good character and you are working in integrity, because that's what matters. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't judge anybody if they are living in a small home opposed to a 5,000 square foot home.
And I had to learn that, like,
Right.
because I think, thank God I didn't ruin relationships, but it was going that way. Because I was like, you don't want to be successful? You don't want to make money? Like, you want to drive this? You want to live this? And I had to understand that some people,
everybody measuring stick is different.
Right. Some people, like you told me, some people desire to live in a tiny house, and that's okay. Some people love their job. They want to work the 9 to 5 because they love being a nurse. They love being a cashier.
Their passion, right?
And that's okay. Like, I had to learn that it's okay. I'm in a class, and the phrase is IO, right? Type IO in the chat, and that stands for it's okay, right? It's okay if you want to drive a Toyota. It's okay if you want to drive a Mercedes. It's okay if you want to live in an 8,000 square foot house. It's okay if you want to live in a mobile home. It's okay. I had to learn to love people where they are.
Absolutely.
And understand where they are, and not trying to force somebody to have the vision that I have.
You got somebody who if they wear a size 2 and you're trying to make them wear a size 24, you know what I mean? They're not inspiring that way. They're happy where they're at. And so many times people are trying to pull people to their measurements, to where they measure themselves. And I've always said, success for me, I'm that person that look at people. What I value, I said it already, but I'll say it real quick again, is when I look at your family and I look how you all act and how your children look at you, that's success to me. But somebody else might say, that ain't nothing, you know what I mean? But so, I mean, everybody has a different size in how they measure, how they measure success. And we should respect it all and not judge anybody.
Because love is a choice. It's not a condition, right? Love doesn't come from external equality. It comes from internal maturity, right? You could put people in a perfect world and still have conflict if there's no accountability, if there's no empathy, and if there's no self-awareness, right? A better world isn't built on changing faces. It's built by changing hearts. As we said, everything ties back to the heart. It ties back to love.
Love. Yes, I love it. And love always wins. Love never fails. So type that tonight. Love always wins. Love never fails. It never fails. So maybe the world doesn't need a change of color. We don't all have to be blue. Maybe we all just need a change in character, right? Because until we fix what's inside of us, we will always find something on the outside to divide us. And I'll drop the mic right there.
I like that. I have my message. I like to always leave y'all with a little riddle.
All right. Well, let's give it to us.
I like this. I'm reading some of your comments. Yes, you bring the value. Nothing else makes you but you. I love it.
Yes.
Right? So listen, if the world became blue, it wouldn't fix the hate. Right?
No.
It would expose the heart.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay? It would expose the heart. Because at the end of the day, love isn't about what we see. It's about who we choose to be.
Yes, I like that. I like that. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. So listen,
right.
I hope you guys enjoy the show. Y'all please like, comment, share, tag people. As always, we up here. We're going to change the show, I think, to Tuesdays because I got some classes going on. And I think that, we don't want to be going back and forth. So I think we're going to do Tuesdays moving forward for a while. So y'all just adjust with us.
Please.
We're going to do some Tuesdays. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight.
And
please walk
against the current.